So we're in a weird fucking bipolar situation in this country.
We're in a bipolar situation.
We're a bipolar country in a lot of ways. You know, there's a lot of, you fucking liberal crybabies, you bunch of libtards.
Well, this is the whole thing, is that you have, you know, I did a special on dysfunction.
That's a picture from Whitney Cummings' Instagram. Jesus, fantastic. That's a lot of people.
Well, actually, it's good because, you know, I think Americans had forgotten how to sort of protest. Americans had forgotten that this is part of democracy and all this stuff. We've been sort of, you know, talk radioing our anger, you know, in quiet. And, you know, and I think it's good to go out and protest if you believe in it, A. B, if you know, sort of look at, you know, what's happening politically. You know, I did a thing on the House Divided, and what's interesting is if you ever do anything on Israel, then the pro-Palestinian people go after you. If you ever do it on Palestine, the Israeli people go after you. Everybody, like, you can never do anything right. It's the same thing when you do sort of, you know, politics here. And we were, you know, we thought we were incredibly even-handed. We gave, you know, Republicans the same amount of time as the Democrats, and the Democrats were like, well, you made the Republicans look too good, and the Republicans. But the thing is when you look at it, you say, you know, it's so broken that it used to be just like, you know, pendulum swings. But now what's going to happen is that Trump gets in. He's going to undo a lot of the last 8 years. Then the Dems, when it swings to them, will undo what he undid. So it's not doing nothing. Now it's going backwards. And so you're sitting there saying there's a lot of shit that we got to solve, and we can't solve it if we just keep going backwards politically. And I think that's why there's so much frustration, is because you're sitting there going, let's unwind what they did for the past 8 years, and then someone else will get in and unwind what we unwound.
We have a real problem as human beings in getting into that team mentality. There's so many of us on the left that have so many, we agree with so many things that the right stands for. Like, and there's so many on the right that agree with so many on the left. You know, I mean, I'm more left than I am right, but I'm pretty fucking right. I'm right on a lot of shit, like gun control and...
You're a centrist, which is hopefully what most people should be, that they can see the logic in both sides.
Yeah.
The problem is when you get too far to the left or too far to the right, it's crazy.
Exactly.
And what's worrisome, and you have no farther to look than France. France elects a socialist, you know, PM, and then all of a sudden the Front National, who were a joke, become the leaders in the next election.
Yeah.
Front National are like, you know, super right wing.
Right.
And so you sit there and say, okay, well, everyone's moving far and far. It's best when we're all just fucking working together. The economy's doing well. We're all getting it done. And so, you know, we're sitting in the sort of logical middle. That's the problem with going too far to any side. And that's, like, you can be on either side on issues and all this stuff, but if you go too far and you're too sort of dogmatic on either side, that's when it gets scary.
Yeah, and it gets scary quick.
Yeah.
It gets scary real quick as soon as one incident happens. And it gets scary in France. Imagine scary in this country where you have more guns than you have human beings.
That's it.
You know, and that's what people, well, that's what the gun problem. It's not a gun problem. It's a human being problem. Sure. And if we address it as a gun problem, you're going to make that human being problem even worse, because you're going to take people's guns and you're going to make them more angry, or you any kind of legislation that fights against their rights and that they think are there by the founding fathers, you're going to have a giant problem.
Sure, exactly.
And when people think that you could just pull it away from them, we're just going to take away the guns. Fuck it. There's nothing they can do. Jesus Christ. There is definitely something they can do. And you got to be really fucking careful starting that war.
It goes back to messaging. And you're saying, like, a lot of people are saying, no, the science is out because they spend billions of dollars to do that. The thing is when you are playing such far right, far left partisan politics, then you have people saying, oh, Obamacare, he's a socialist, he's trying to take over the government, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do that, and sort of blowing it out. Why? Because that creates the Tea Party, which, you know, comes in and then they have power. And then the Tea Party, by the way, has to go back to their constituents and say, we're going to repeal it, we're going to do this, we're going to do everything. And it just everything goes to the atomic level.
Yeah.
And so that when you actually go into Congress or into the executive or into the Senate and you try to get anything done, you can't, because you've promised that you're not going to, you know, do anything. You're not going to have any sort of, you know, partisan,
relations, bipartisan relations. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. It's stupid, and it exists because we have two parties. When you make two people, we make one of them wear red and you make one of them wear blue, they start wanting to fight each other. It's a stupid thing
You're
that we
also
have, or at
always
least
in power.
disagree.
You're also, it doesn't matter if you're in or out, you're always in power because there's only two.
Right.
So
right,
you're
right,
always
right.
going to be this sort of opposition.
Yeah, and that influence, the problem is, like, this is what people have to realize. A lot of your opinions, and my opinions too, are not really my opinions. They're opinions that I've decided are good, that I've heard from other people.
Right.
And a lot of our patterns of behaviors, from accents to the way we approach culture, the way we think about women, the way we think about religion, a lot of that is learned. Okay? And we have these two deeply ingrained patterns in this country. We have the Democrats and we have the Republicans. And the Republicans are these no-nonsense, get business done, you know. And the Democrats are, you know, we always think of, oh, these people are all crybabies and they're all wishy-washy and they're bleeding hearts. And that this is like ingrained.
Yeah.
It's sort of ingrained in our system, these two different patterns of behavior. And they're severely problematic because you could exhibit a lot of traits on each side and still be a very good person, or a lot of ideas on each side and still be a very good person.
If you look at, I remember when, you know, looking at sort of the Clinton administration, he took the largest deficit in history, made it the largest surplus in history, shrunk government, you know, basically the tenets of the Republican Party. W gets in, turns the largest surplus into the largest deficit, expands the government, et cetera, but nobody said boo.
Yeah.
Like there's, when you're like, hold on a second, we just switched these things over here.
No one wants to criticize their side. It's like,
but it's like sports teams. If
yes,
it's,
exactly.
You know, you pick your sports team when you're 6. You pick your political party because your parents do generally.
Yeah.
And where you are, and then that's it. I don't give a shit what they
coming
say.
out as a Democrat to your dad in a lot of places is like coming out gay.
Yeah.
I bet it's probably one of the same things. You're a fucking Democrat.
Because they're ashamed.
You're a fucking Democrat. You're going to vote for Bernie Sanders. You know what he wants to do to this family? Bernie Sanders wants to give all your money to Black Lives Matter.
There you
cool
go.
with that, son?
We actually did a show as part of our news thing of, we had people going back for Thanksgiving, and it was the parents who voted for Trump versus the kids who, you know, voted for either Hillary or didn't vote or whatever. And they were just fighting and crying and freaking out and, like, you know, all this stuff. And why did we get to this level of dysfunction? I mean,
it's a problem when you have two sides.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for two sports teams to meet in, you know, say if they meet in neutral territory like Vegas, and then the fans get along. They're not going to get along.
Right.
It's people are fools. We have tribal instincts. We have instincts built into when we were small bands of 50 people that could barely stay alive, and we were often wiped out. Often. So your genealogy, your family line, all your history, everyone you love could be easily dead in a couple of days.
So that was my question, because it seems to me, what I'm getting the feeling now, like humanity, when they have a big thing, like a war or something, it's just like we're all getting together and we're all going to fucking do this together, and we're going to, you know, science, and we're going to work hard, and we're going to do all this, and we're like, yeah, fuck. And then when, you know, this has been the largest or longest period of peace and prosperity the world's ever known.
Yeah.
Right now, we see things in Syria. I'm talking about sort of, these are sort of isolated conflicts, but I mean overall, globally. And what do? We're sort of eating ourselves. Yeah. You know, we're looking inwards and just saying, oh, fuck, I hate that guy, or I hate that guy.
Well, even in their parties, they eat themselves.
Yeah.
That you pick teams inside your teams.
Sure.
Like,
the
do you
Tea
see what's
Party
going on?
ousted Boehner.
Black Lives Matter is now mad at the women, the women that put on that women's march, and the transgender community is mad at the women who wore the pussy hats, because they're saying that being a woman does not just mean you have a pussy.
Yeah, but Tea Party came in and ousted Cantor and Boehner because they had the, you know, sort of audacity to even go meet with, you know, the president or the Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just like, you're like, well, that's your fucking job, is to go there and
talk to people
and make shit happen.
You don't talk to the fucking enemy.
Yeah. And so it's, anyway, we can go on for hours. But I think, you know, both you and I are sort of coming to the same point that you can put any name you want on it. What you're coming to is a sort of dysfunctional relationship. Yeah. That's not going to end anytime soon.
What I'm hoping, and this is totally possible, that Generation Y, like you're talking about, Generation X, all these people that are growing up right now and just sort of waking up as adults, like realizing, like half those people that are wandering through the streets when you looked at the Women's March, half those people are, you know, in their 20s. Yeah. They're young folks that are just kind of realizing, like, hey, I'm a fucking adult. I can go out and organize. I can get something done. I can do. I am really hoping that this message will get out that it is high time we abandon this fucking goofy system and that we demand a better system for running 350 million people and one figurehead and all of his cronies that he stuffs into some office and has massive influence over all of us. I think it's a giant problem. It's a giant problem, and to keep those people rotating back and forth from left to right, it's not doing anybody any good.
But I think what's ironic about that is I think you'd have a lot of people agree with you on both sides on that.
I think we need like a council of elders. Like we've been talking about this lately a lot. Like having a council of really fucking smart people.
Right.
You know?